What is lacking is an understanding of what needs to be done and how to do it. Some organizations have excellent inventory management, and many have satisfactory inventory management. Too many, however, have unsatisfactory inventory management, which sometimes is a sign that management does not recognize the importance of inventory.
Hi. I'm with your internal audit team, and I'd like to ask you a few questions about your roles and responsibilities. Can we start with your title and a little bit about what you do?
Sure. No problem. I'm the inventory manager, and it is my job to make sure that we have the necessary items to be able to complete our wine production.
Great. Can we talk about how you know how much wine to make each year?
Well, each spring, the head winemaker prepares a production schedule for the upcoming season, based on his experience and anticipated rainfall for the year. He gives me a copy of this schedule, and I use it in conjunction with the inventory subsidiary ledger to determine future inventory requirements, bottles, labels, vines, etc., and vine needs.
Does anyone else get a copy of this schedule?
Yes. A copy goes to the farming leaders.
What do you do to place the actual orders?
Well, I create purchase requisitions for all the items that need to be ordered, and then I send copies to the purchasing clerk and the head winemaker, and I file a copy chronologically for myself.
Who does the company typically buy items from?
We purchase bottles, corks, and labels from various wine producers in California and vines from producers in France.
Can you walk me through the process a purchasing clerk would follow to complete a purchase?
Sure. The purchasing clerk will take the requisition and first review the inventory subsidiary ledger to see what we have on hand. Then they solicit bids from prospective vendors, select a vendor, and mail out a purchase order.
Who gets a copy of the purchase order?
I get a copy that I file with my requisition, and a copy is sent to accounts payable. The purchasing department keeps one as well.
What kind of training do your purchasing clerks receive?
In addition to learning the basics of our system, we also require the clerks to attend an ethics seminar focused on what to do when a supplier offers a kickback.
I see. You mentioned the system. Does the system enforce any kind of authorization limits?
Yes. There are enforced authorization limits for both requisitions and purchase orders.
Do you get involved with recording transactions?
Yes. I receive copies of packing slips for items received, which I use to update the inventory subsidiary ledger. I also create a journal voucher supporting a general ledger entry, but the bookkeeper does the actual posting.
Okay, great. I think that is all of my questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Inventory management. It is the proper planning of purchasing of raw materials, handling, storing, and recording is to be considered by the inventory management.
Finding everything you need, my friend?
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Mo Amera is the assistant floor manager at Cole Hardware in San Francisco.
Let me know if you guys need any help down there.
Today, he's facing typical customer service challenges.
I think we used to carry it, but it may have been discontinued. What I could do is, let me check another store, because they may have some in inventory there. You want to hang on a second? Okay, thanks.
A customer is looking for an electric drill, but it's at one of his other stores.
It turns out that our store over on Polk, they've got 2 of them in stock.
He's counting on IT to help him find the item.
All right, what I'll do is I'll give him a call and I'll tell him to hold it for you. All right? Hey, thanks.
To my mind, the single biggest challenge facing businesses is complexity. Climate change, global warming, the global financial crisis. The rate of change in the world in which they operate is far greater than their ability to adapt to it. So many of those organizations bury their head in the sand. She'll be right. Someone else will fix this. It will go away. The rains will come. My markets will return. That's a recipe for disaster. What could they do? They could recognize that it makes so much more sense to seek help, to collaborate, to communicate, to ask questions, and to get a much better understanding of what it is that drives customer behavior, but fundamentally what it is that drives consumer up to the value chain. What is a chain? It's a series of links. What is a value chain? It is a series of organizations that take a product from inputs, seed, genetics, through to a final product that's consumed. In a supply chain model, businesses focus essentially on what they do, and they push product down the chain to the end user. That can be really hard work. In a value in response to what consumers want and are willing to pay for, it's much easier. The important thing is that the businesses don't change, but their behavior does. In supply chains, relationships are weak because businesses are pushing product with all of their might, irrespective of what the next link wants. Because there's very little trust, information doesn't flow very freely from one organization to another. The blind are leading the blind. There is a race to the bottom. We call it commoditization. In value chains, relationships are strong because we're all being pulled by the consumer. We respond more readily to the consumer. We have a greater chance of survival. Because we have a greater chance of survival through that method of doing business, trust is built. And with that trust, information flows more freely. There is a race to the top. The richer the flow of information, the more likely we are to find segments where we can make more money, where we can be more profitable, and we can stay in business for longer. What's critical in value chains is that our chances are far greater because our fingers on the pulses of the end users of our products. If our fingers are on the pulse, we can respond. Patients dying, you respond. You give them oxygen. If a patient's fit and healthy, you can feed them with rich stuff and they're willing to pay for it. Without the finger on the pulse, you're guessing. And too often, particularly as markets become increasingly competitive, we guess wrong. You can't afford to guess wrong.